بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد سيد الأولين والآخرين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. جزاكم الله خيرا for attending tonight. Today, inshallah, we will continue from where we left off last time. We reached with our talk to when Abdul Muttalib, the grandfather of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, died, and then he moved under the protection and under the care of his uncle Abu Talib. Abu Talib had multiple kids. He sponsored Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and as a payback, later on, like decades later on, Al-Abbas, who is the uncle of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's the brother of Abu Talib. He would tell Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he would tell him, it's like, look, Abu Talib has many children, so how about each one of us will sponsor one of them, okay? And which one did Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam sponsor? He took him under his protection, kind of to take him to his household. Which kids of Abu Talib? Anybody knows? Ali, yeah, he took Ali. Ali was under the care of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So when Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam was under Abu Talib's protection, under his care, Abu Talib would, he was very nice to him. He was asking his wife to take, extra care for Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And the stories about, his life in the Abu Talib household. You can see it from more than one source. You can start telling about the good manners of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even as a child. Okay, so when there's like just a limited supply of food, the natural thing for the kids is just start competing. And then Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he sees something like this, he's just a kid. But he wouldn't do what the other kids are doing. He will just step back and then let them have it. Because he is not in a level where, he needs to do that. He's better than that, okay? So you can see, and you can notice it even with kids, with, children. You kind of, if you deal with a lot of children, some of them will strike you differently. Okay, this one looks a little bit more mature than his age. Okay, this one looks special. I think this one, when he grows up, is going to be something. Okay, we see it now. If you deal with a lot of kids, it's like, okay, this is just a kid his age. It's like, no, this one is different. You can tell that. Subhanallah al-Azim. And that was one of the very repetitive patterns in the Seerah when they talk about Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Abu Talib will say the same thing. Abdul Muttalib said the same thing. We're going to talk about this here in a little bit. People who don't even know Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, they will say, they call that firasa. Okay, firasa is not ghaib. It's like just your ability to see what's coming, just from signs that you have in front of you. Okay, it's like if what I think is to correct, this boy is gonna be something big when he grows up. So that was the situation for Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam in the Abu Talib household. Like we said, Abu Talib, after Abdul Muttalib death, he became the master of Mecca, Sayyidu Mecca. He's the leader of Mecca. Yet being the leader didn't mean that he was rich. Okay, because whatever income he had, he also had a lot of expenses. Okay, the Banu Hashim, if you remember from our first lecture, they were in charge of getting water for the pilgrims. They were in charge of feeding the pilgrims. So they had a lot of expenses that they need to attend to. So Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he needed to go and work. So he worked from a young age. What was his job? He did more than one thing, but one of the things that he did when he was young, he was a shepherd. Okay? And there is a hadith for Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam that ma min nabiyyin illa wara al-ghanam. There's no prophet except that at one point of their life or another, they were shepherds. Okay? So the companions would ask the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "Even you, Ya Rasulullah?" He said, "Yes. When I was young, I heard some sheep for the people of Mecca for a very small amount of money." Okay. When he grew older and he became a young man, then he started to do what the people in Quraysh were doing. They were traders, they were merchants. So he will go with his uncle to some of his trips to Asham or Levant or today's Syria, and go and trade. One of these trips, Rasulullah was 12 years. Abu Talib took him in one of these trips to Asham until they went to a town called Busra Asham. This is like in the southern part of Syria nowadays. At that part, there was this monk. His name was Bahira. Okay, he had this place, his temple or what have you, that he would be at. He wouldn't really meet people. He is, just has no interest in dunya and whatever it's in it, except for when that caravan that had Abu Talib and Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in it, then Bahira made dinner for everybody, and he came in and made them personally, which was very unlike him. Until he saw Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he recognized him from what is written in their books, in the Torah, in the Gospels. It was clear that Subhanallah al-Azim, the description of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was there, and this is what is mentioned in the Quran, that their scholars would know. However, what would they do? They will alter it, they will change it, okay, to serve their purposes. And this would be a big theological discussion. This is not the place for it. We're just studying the history, the pieces that we have of it, of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. At that time, Bahira described Khatamun Nubuwah, which is a birthmark that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam held on his back, behind his shoulder, on his shoulder plate. Okay, he saw that, and he told Abu Talib, "Don't take this kid with you all the way. Return him to Mecca, because I am afraid that the Jewish people, they are going to harm him." Okay, this is how it is in the text. Okay, and this is kind of will go when we continue to study the Seerah of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the many interactions that he had with the Jewish tribes in Al-Madinah al-Munawwara or around Al-Madinah al-Munawwara. It was a big back and forth between them. For the most part, during the life of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was not many negative interactions with the Christians. Okay, but with the Jewish, since they lived in Al-Madinah, there were a lot of tension, a lot of escalations that led to many times to the displacement of the Jewish tribes from within Al-Madinah. But we will, inshallah, get to that later on, inshallah. One of the things that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam attended or he witnessed during his life as a young man was a war called Harbul Fijar. Okay, it was a war that occurred between Quraysh and another tribe in Arabia. And at that time, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his job was to prepare arrows for his uncles. Okay, so he was a participant in that as well. Another thing that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam participated in was the alliance of Fudul. Okay, what that is, there were these tribes from within Quraysh. They came in together to the house of this gentleman. His name was Abdullah ibn Jad'an, and they all made a pact that anybody commits injustice against anyone, they are going to go as a collective, and they are going to defend the right of that person regardless of who they were. It happens, the story, that a man, a Bedouin, he came into Mecca. He was trying to sell something, and one of the merchants in Mecca, it happened to be Al-As ibn Wa'il. He's the father of Amr ibn al-As, okay, the well-known Sahabi. That Al-As ibn Wa'il, he wouldn't give that man what he's owed. Okay, so this Bedouin went to the tribes of Quraysh, give me, help me get what I am owed. Okay, we have relations, we have treaties, we have this, we have that, and everybody ignored him. Nobody would listen to him. So this man will go to the one of the hills in Mecca. He will go up and he will start, saying pieces of poetry, kind of just to say of how bad he was treated in this place by supposedly the best people on earth. These are the people, these are the guardians of Mecca, the guardians of Al-Kaaba. Until Zubayr ibn Abd al-Muttalib, who is that? He's the uncle of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Okay? He's the brother of Abu Talib. Remember we talked last time how Abdul Muttalib had at least 10 men, 10 young men of his offsprings. So he heard the man. So this what started this whole thing. Why do we say that? This is important. Okay, it's like, what's a big deal? This is just an alliance that happened at the time of Jahiliyyah or the time of ignorance. It is important because Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that I was invited to this alliance during the time of Jahiliyyah, that if I was invited to the same pact again, or to the same alliance again, now that it is Islam, I would be part of it. Okay? So this kind of tells us, for us who, we are living, even if you don't live within a Muslim community, okay, even if the large, percentage of the people around you may not hold your faith, you're still, if there is something that you can collaborate with other people not from your faith, and for the common good of your community, if it is what it is promoting is something good, that it is okay. No, but you are encouraged to be part of that effort. Why? Because this is one of the core principles of our Islam, of our deen, is to be fair, is to try to commit justice. What's that? This would be an important discussion. I do recommend that you register to vote, and I do recommend that you get your voice heard. Okay, now, in no way or shape I am asking you to vote for this person or that person, and definitely I'm not asking you to vote for anybody who is supporting the genocide of Muslims, for sure. Okay, however, as you will know, that the elections here is more than just voting for the presidential candidate or this or that. You're voting for so many things. So let's say that there is a vote for the school boards, for example, and there is nothing that is political about this position. There's this person who promotes good education, this or that, or not getting a lot of controversial subjects that don't align with our ideology or our deen. It does not contradict it. Would voting this person in and getting them to have a voice or have a power would be something that is against Islam? I do not think so. Okay? Now, again, subhanallah al-azim, it was here in this masjid, I don't know, maybe it has been almost 8 years now, when I told people on the minbar, I recommend that you register to vote, and one of the brothers interrupted me during the khutbah in the middle of the masjid. It's like, how come you say that? This is not appropriate, etc., etc. So that was an interesting thing. However, within this forum today, our talk is not about the elections or not. We're trying to study the Seerah. However, I do recommend that you register to vote. Registration for voting ends tomorrow. Okay, now if there is anybody that you're not comfortable with, don't vote for them. Okay, but that's again a different story. I'm telling you what Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam did during Hilf al-Fudul. He said the alliance. He said if he was invited for an alliance like that during Islam, he would do the same thing. The people that were within Hilf al-Fudul at that time, they were non-Muslims. Yet Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam joined them. Excellent question, though, brother Adnan. What's that? Brother Yasin. Yeah. Of what? They have what? Uh-huh. Okay. Again. Okay, so it happens all the time. just encouraging people to, support people who are have our best interests. Sure. Clearly, this entire system's not going to have our best interests, so who's going to vote for it? That's just always the circle that it goes into. It's like you want to hold them for 2%, and that's really your candidate. Right. Right. And in my opinion, what I see it, if you ask the other people who you don't like very much in politics, and you ask them, would you like me to vote or not to vote? They will tell you, it's like, deep down, I'd rather that you just stay silent and don't vote. Okay? Once you start to become active, then you have a voice that you can actually use against them if you don't like it. Now, are you going to be able to elect a third-party candidate in the United States? Probably not. Not in the foreseeable future. But I don't think that you'll be able to go from speed of 0 to a speed of 100 miles an hour without going through the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 5, etc. Well, I mean, you have also to be realistic. I don't think that you'll be able to get. Now, you can get. By the way, you can get a Muslim to be your candidate. The Prime Minister of Scotland, I think, is Muslim. Okay, but does what he promotes, is he promoting Islam as his ideology? No, not really. Okay, he's presenting his party. So kind of getting.
There are some individuals who take this subject extremely serious about the United States government and what exactly it is. Some, you have sociologists, right? One was named Michael Carini, who wrote a lot of works about what the United States is, what it resembles, right? Another individual who used to use some of Michael Carini's works was an individual named Dr. Amos Wilson. He said there's a process. It requires 4 things, right? One of them was like the candidate selection process. One of them is the legitimacy of ideology, right? So the individuals who run for presidency and are actually nominated, right? They're not just anybody, they represent certain individuals. One has to do with the lobbying process, one of those processes, right? So we're not just talking. I mean, of course, anybody in America has the freedom to put their name on the ballot, etc.
It's true. It's true. Anyways, we don't want to divert too much from the subject of the night, although these discussions are important to be had, okay, for sure. Okay. What's that? No. This is important, and I do appreciate that you guys interject, because quite honestly, if we're just like saying stuff that happened in history and we don't try to apply any lessons out of it, then it is just a tale. It's just a bedtime story. Yes, sir.
I actually thought, when you mentioned that, I actually thought about the protest because, like I said, I'm familiar with a few different masjids here, different brothers from different backgrounds, brothers who practice different madhabs or say proclaim certain minhages, right? And what I actually thought about is the protesting, right?
Yes, sir.
Because if individuals agree to come together to raise their voice to stop something, I think that if you ask me my personal opinion, that's okay. But listening to some other brothers, one brother gave an example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if a certain group of individuals join another group of individuals, and they become like those people. And he used that as an argument not
against. Subhanallah. And you will see that among the people that you even invite to this masjid, that people will have a different opinion based on their ideology. Okay, all of us claim that we're following what is in the Quran and what Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said and done, and we all can bring you with evidence from within the Quran and from the Sunnah to support one action or another. Okay, however, the reality of the situation that each one of us follow a school of thought. Okay, so there is the school of thought of following the rules, listening to whomever is in charge, You cannot do anything outside of these boundaries or lines, because otherwise that you're inviting people to fitna, right? This would be one way of doing it. Okay, people can take that to the extreme, to the level that if you see your leader committing adultery in public, that you're not supposed to say anything. Okay, and then you're going to have somebody else who's saying, no, 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 our listening to the people who are in charge is really contingent upon them following the teachings of Islam. Once they stop doing that, then we're not obligated to follow them. Okay, and then you can probably can tell from listening to me talk which school of thought I belong to. But again, you can hear so many things from so many people. But in my mind, I think that being an active Muslim in all arenas of life, that you being a Muslim is not something that you put on. You don't put just a thawb on when you become in the masjid and you become a different person. Once you leave the boundaries of the masjid, you're completely something different. Okay, I think this is something that you practice inside the masjid and you practice outside the masjid. Your practice of saying to the oppressor no is in itself is a ibadah, is an act of worship, similar to when you perform the salah in the masjid. And with each comes consequences, of course. But that is, you'll see a lot of this stuff. Anyways, yes.
So Prophet Islam in the Hizbul
Yeah.
so he was there, but that democracy was not there at that time.
I mean, democracy with the name that you're implying. No, it wasn't exactly like that. No. But yeah, however, I want when the brother said about being nominated, is the nomination a democratic process? Not really.
It appears to be.
But it's not, right?